Hey, can we talk about failure? I was at a marketing event recently at my old college, one of them, and there was a guest speaker. And I asked the question, what is a failure you experienced, and what was the lesson that you learned? And this person, the guest speaker, didn't give a really good answer, and I was a little disappointed. Now, there's predominantly a lot of alumni there at this marketing event because we want to support the school and the program, and that's important. So people continually show up to these types of events. So there's a lot of working force people out there. But then predominantly, also, did I say that already? Predominantly twice? That doesn't make sense. Well, there's also a large cachet of kids that are going through the program. And I think it's beneficial, either if you're a guest speaker or if you're a student, to ask those hard questions or answer those hard questions. Now, as a guest speaker, it's your opportunity to share real world experiences and get these kids primed for the real world. And as a 20-year-old just out of high school, my reality of life is very different as a 21 or as a 20-year-old than it is as a 40-year-old. I'm not 40 yet, but you know I'm in such a different mindset. I'm in a different season of life, and I have this perception as a 20-year-old me of what life should be, of what life is, and it's totally different than what I think it is. So I think it's super important that if you're guest speaking at a event and you're talking to students that are about to enter the real world, if they're younger students, if they're older students, I think that is that's something different, because I went back to school. I have 2 degrees. I went back to school because I was just beaten down by life. Life just beat me down so much. It's like, I'm going to go back to school for something that I love and get good at it. And that kind of led me on the path I'm on right now, which is just what a great story that is. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about guest speaking. We're talking about failures. It's super important, in my opinion, to talk about the failures that you experience in the real world and prime students and educate them and teach them on how to navigate those rough waters of what the real world is. You're going to experience failures. How do you navigate that? How do you approach that? How do you look at the failure? Be like, I really messed up here. Where's my opportunity to learn? What lesson can I pull from this failure? So I asked the question to the guest speaker, and I asked the question to the guest speaker, and they basically said, well, we had some stuff going on, and the weather got bad, and because of the inclement weather, it was a failure. That's not a failure. If the only failures you've experienced in your work world are because of inclement weather, and that has affected your event or whatever, that's not a true failure. I mean, let's get really nitty gritty on a failure. Let me explain a failure that I've experienced in my life and what my lesson. I actually have 2 failures. I was director of marketing for a home service company. We were running a campaign. There's 3 owners, and my direct contact was floating the idea of changing the theme of this BOGO program, which is a buy one, get one program. And I kind of ran with it. I just assumed that the one owner would converse with the other owners, and they came to the agreement that, hey, this is what we're going to run with. Now, everyone's looking over everything, And but we're not. It's just surface level looking at it. And here's where my failure comes into place. We built this campaign for this BOGO program that was totally different than what they had ran over the last 4 or 5 years. And when the postcards dropped, there wasn't the phone number on the postcard was incorrect. I had assumed that my content creator got all the information right, and I did not double check the work. That is 100% my failure. 100% on me for not double checking the work. The lesson to learn is that do not become complacent in the data and in the workflows. It's always good to double check information. Always good. The details, make sure that everything is correct, and make sure that when it gets to the customer, it can be easily, it just makes it a lot easier. So we spent about, I don't know how much we spent on the postcards. The campaign in total was about $50,000. I'm trying to think like what amount we spent. We sent out probably like 20 to 40,000 postcards this first shoot. And when none of the postcards have the correct number on there, it's you're going in an overdrive, right? Second failure in that same campaign, which by the way, I owned that failure 100%, was at the meeting to go over a game plan. The owners didn't want to run with that theme, there was a miscommunication, and the lesson there was, and I can only own my part of the failure. I think overall there was a really poor communication amongst the people that needed to be in the loop on things. And my failure is that I did not ask enough questions to make sure that this was the way to navigate it. I did not roll out a campaign strategy of like, hey, this is when this is dropping, this is when we're going to do this, here's the drip email, here's when this is going to go out, here's when this is going out, we're playing these things on these. So like I should have just war mapped the entire campaign and shared it that way. And I did not do that because I just wasn't in the place that I had that know-how. I'd never done anything like that. I'd never done or ran a campaign so comprehensive before. So that's on me for not asking enough questions and then making sure that the right people knew what was going on. So, but those are significant failures. You know, when you're throwing around, no matter what kind of marketing budget you have, every dollar counts. You want to optimize that marketing budget as best as you can. And when you're just throwing away money because of a mess up, wow! I tell you what, that was an eye-opening experience. We did rebound towards the end of the campaign, but that was a good character building experience. So if you're talking to students, you should be telling students about your failures. Get a little vulnerable. There's nothing wrong. Everyone fails. No one is perfect. If you think you're perfect, you better open your eyes a little bit and become a little bit more self-aware, because no one is perfect at anything. If you chase perfection, you'll never hit it, because there is no way you can be perfect at anything. You can be really good, you can be an expert, you could be a master, but you can't be perfect. So share your failures. And on the flip side, students, come on, ask some harder questions. This is your opportunity to talk to someone who's in the field that you want to get into. Ask them hard questions. Don't ask them easy. There was a It was an event specialist that was guest speaking for a well-known brand in the area. And one of the questions the students asked was, what was it like meeting Jason Momoa or whatever his name is? Who cares? He's a person. He's like you and I. He just does acting. He's just on this different path, on a different level. Who cares? But he's just like a regular person. That's a bullshit question. Get harder on your questions. Make these people think about the value that they can give you. And there's a ton of value there that you can get if you ask the right questions. Ask harder questions. Try to stump these people. You know, what are some experiences? What are some, I don't know any questions, actually. I don't have any questions. I thought I did, but you do some research on the person. If you know who the person is going to be guest speaking, do some research on them. Do like 30 minutes of research. We're connected to the internet that has so much information. Do 30 minutes of research before you go into the guest speaking opportunity and ask questions pertinent to their path. Find something that's interesting to you and ask a question about it, because this is your opportunity to ask questions. This is your opportunity to gather information in person. And this is your opportunity to possibly disrupt a failure in your path that you're going to hit. Well, maybe now, instead of coming up against this roadblock, you have the information because you asked the question. Let's talk a little bit more about failures. Let's be a little bit more open about our paths and how we can help the students who are coming up behind us, because we're going to experience things that they probably will never experience. Or maybe they'll experience it, but it's going to be on a grander scale. Or maybe they're going to experience things that we'll never experience, but then they can teach about their failures to the following group. It's about how can we help the next generation become better than this generation? How can we help them navigate through failures? How can we help them just become the best versions that they can be? And it's by education and asking questions, asking the hard questions, and talking about the hard topics. This life and the working world outside of school, when you hit 25, I struggled so much in my 20s. Like, wow, did I struggle. But then when I finally had the recognition that this world is so big and it's so much different than what I perceive it to be, what a paradigm shift that was. And I've continued to have paradigm shift after paradigm shift about where we're going, where I'm going in life, and what life is, and what life means to me, and what I want my life to be. Kind of going off on a tangent here. We're talking about failures. You know, the perception of what life is when you're 20 or 21 is completely different as you continue to grow and expand and live life and grow older and grow up. You know, ingest information. What an opportunity it is to be alive right now, today, because there's so much information out there that you can grow, you can become better, you can improve. It just takes a bunch of discipline and consistency to constantly be aware of where you are, where you want to go, and the steps it takes to get there. And you know what? It's not easy. And if I could learn from people, which I do, I follow podcasts online. I follow Ed Millett, Lewis Howes, Jay Shetty, Rob Dyrdek. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but the ridiculousness guy, I just stumbled upon his podcast, and wow, what a fantastic, wow. Just I'm been just consuming and reconsuming videos of his over the last 24, 48 hours. What a huge impact. Who did I just talk? I didn't talk to them, but I listened to them. Something Novak, Norman Novak? No, the CEO of Yum Brands. He talked about idea hunting. I'm doing that. I hunt for ideas, and I actually recorded a session. It was really cool. I'm gonna drop it soon. I'm just trying to figure out what to do as an intro. But idea hunting, I'd never heard that terminology before until I listened to this podcast with Ed Medlet and this Novak guy, and then kind of stumbled down his rabbit hole of information and what he's done and research and how our path. I mean, we're all on different paths, right? We're all on completely different paths. Your path is completely different from my path, but there are our paths are parallel to each other in some stance. You might be way up here. I might be down here, but we're all moving forward. We're all moving towards death, and that's a little bit morbid, but that's the truth. But to see similarities between someone else's path and where my path is, and that's just so cool. That is so cool. But I really believe that the market is shifting. This is a relationship market. People are looking for value. People are looking for trust. People are looking for the opportunity to learn, to grow, to become great, to become a better version of themselves. One of the greatest paradigm shifts that I've had recently is that we only have one life. The time is not guaranteed. We're here for a purpose, because if we're not here for a purpose, then why are we here? Just like these deep subsurface level thoughts of why we're here, what my path is, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and how I want to help other people. So I'm going to be vulnerable in these messages. I'm going to be talking about things that I probably wouldn't talk about, because if you stumble across this podcast and you get value from it, then I want you to learn. I want you to be able to take whatever gold nuggets you find and try to apply them to your life. And if they work out and that helps you move forward, cool. If it doesn't work out, cool. You tried it and you found out it didn't work out, and just discard it and keep moving forward. The time's passing anyway. The time is passing anyway. I'm going off on another tangent. I go off on tangents. Let's go back to the subject matter of this episode, and that is about sharing failures. If you're guest speaking in front of a crowd of students, I think you're doing the students a disservice by not talking about failures, or at least talking about one failure you experienced and the lesson you extracted from that failure, and how it can help students move forward as they enter in the real world workspace. Students, on the other end, do 30 minutes of research. Look at you're connected. You just type in the person, and the whole slew of things is going to pop up. Do 30 minutes of research if you know who's going to be talking to your group, if you know who's going to be guest speaking, and there's going to be a Q&A section. 30 minutes of research, 15 minutes of research. 15 minutes is not a long time. 30 minutes is not a long time. Do a little research, have a couple questions ready, and 5 questions you would like to ask, and ask those questions, and make sure they're hard. Ask the hard questions, and you get really good answers. Hey, let's make the world a better place. I think like we're in a society of people helping people become the best versions that they can, like a ripple effect, and that's really cool to me. If you're not helping people grow, if you're not helping people become the best versions that they can be, if you're not trying to become the best version that you can be, there's so much stuff that I'm trying to navigate. This is just my life. I'm I'm sharing my experiences of my life, and if it helps you out, cool. If it doesn't help you out, that's cool too. Whenever I say you, I mostly mean me. This is a huge opportunity for me to kind of reflect openly on things that I'm going through as I scale my business, as I try to grow my business, as I try to navigate these other waters of the entrepreneurship space, which is completely different than the 20-year-old me, getting all excited, going off in the real world work space. That's totally different. Bigger waves, more water, a lot more fun. It's like a free fall of excitement and scariness. Just like, whoo. All right. That is all I have. Hey, I'm going to be posting more stuff like this. Really get my thoughts out there. I feel I have a lot to share, and I want to share it. But I also want to make sure that whatever I share is valuable. And if you found something to be valuable in this message, hey, let me know in the comments. I'd love to either learn a little bit more about your path, or if I can help you out, awesome. If something if you didn't get anything of value and you watched the whole thing, also let me know in the comments. What did you disagree with that I said? And you know what? We're all different people. We can disagree and still come to a common ground. And like I said, every path is a little different. So if you disagreed, let me know. If something wasn't valuable, let me know. If you got something of value, let me know. I'm very curious if what I'm saying is beneficial or if it's not beneficial. And if it's not beneficial, well, then I'd like to know, because then I can kind of like navigate some of that water a little bit better. Okay, so wrap up. Failure is going to happen in every part of life. And if you don't learn from those failures, you're going to just keep on experiencing those failures until you learn the failure that you've been experiencing. And it's beneficial, in my opinion, to share the failures you've experienced. Maybe not all of them, but there's got to be some good ones. I know I definitely have some good ones. I have some good ones indeed that I have learned from them. And it's about growing. It's about getting better. It's about keeping moving forward. If you're guest speaking, talk about your failures. Talk about the real world. Don't talk about just the superficial stuff. Oh, I've never failed because we experienced inclement weather. Oh, that was a failure. What a bullshit answer. I was very disappointed with that answer. You have the opportunity to educate students. You have the opportunity to pass along some knowledge. You have the opportunity to be vulnerable. You have the opportunity to be real with people. Do that. Be authentic. Build relationships. That's it. That's my bit on failure. Like and subscribe. There's going to be a lot more content. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm doing a lot of different things, and if you're along for the ride, cool. If not, that's cool too.